up, friends? Welcome back to my channel. Well, today we are doing a really fun collaboration with my good friend Nora. Thank you so much for joining us. She's a registered dietitian who specializes specifically in gut and hormone health. I have personally worked with her, and that's the biggest reason I brought her on this channel, because I really have found so much beneficial information working with her and gaining her knowledge. So we are going to specifically be talking about how food and nutrition plays a role in stress and anxiety levels. So her approach really stems from helping you feel at home in your body. And one of the things that I love the most about working with you is that you don't use Band-Aids. Yeah. You're really about treating the root cause. And that is just so much of my philosophy in life. And so applying this to food and nutrition, kind of holistically approaching stress and anxiety, is such a cool thing. So I'd love to get started with, if somebody is just starting out on this, connecting nutrition to stress, anxiety, hormone levels, what are your top tips there?
It's an awesome question. And honestly, the first session that I work with anybody is just talking about how to eat. Like, we're never really taught how to eat. And unless that behavior is modeled when you're growing up, in your home or at school, etc., we're never really taught how to eat. So the first thing that I spend time teaching my clients and individuals I work with is just reviewing how to have a more balanced plate, because adequately fueling our body with enough nutrition, but the right nutrition as well, the right balance is truly what makes that difference in giving our body this steady, level-headed state. We're not experiencing these roller coasters of surge of energy, and then we come crashing down, and then we need another huge pick-me-up, or we lean on things like caffeine or other stimulants that might help us to recover from those things. So I love even just looking and starting at the beginning of the day with a really well-rounded breakfast option. So I'd love to share just like a couple of things that I think are helpful for ensuring. I feel like breakfast can be the most challenging one. We lean towards like sweeter options and quick things like cereals. And again, it's just what was shown or what's available at the school lunch or school breakfast, for example. So I have a lot of individuals that love doing oatmeal, but the biggest thing I see is we're missing that good protein, and we're missing some fat and fiber. So we use that oatmeal as a base, but wanting to make sure we're having a good source of protein. So whether that's coming from a nut butter or nuts or seeds themselves, I love adding chia seeds or ground flax seeds into breakfast, or using something like a protein powder or a collagen can be a really easy way to just ensure, okay, check, we're hitting off that balanced blood sugar with a little bit of protein. And same with adding a little bit of fat in. So if you're using some of those nuts or nut butters, we're going to be getting some of that fat naturally. Or if we need to, we could even add like a little bit of MCT oil or avocado oil. You're not really going to taste it, or coconut oil, right? So super easy switch there. If you're not an oat fan, I have clients that don't love the consistency. We can try other things like chia seed pudding, for example, or even making some hard-boiled eggs that are ready ahead of time, where you don't even have to think about that breakfast the next morning. It's already prepared for you. So if we're doing some eggs or hard-boiled eggs, pairing that with a piece of fruit, or maybe even some cooked veggies that are ready to go, or half of a sweet potato, and having, that good balance there. Yeah. One of the biggest tips that you gave me, though, is such a small change. And that's something else that I love, is that we can kind of start wherever we are. So like sometimes just putting a little bit more effort into our breakfast. For some people, it might just be having breakfast, right? Like actually putting effort into eating. But I love oatmeal, and I was doing protein powder in oatmeal and adding some yogurt in there, which makes it so much creamier and tastes so much better. But also I noticed such a big difference, and I wasn't expecting it from such a small change. But I loved it. That's awesome. I think a good way to tell if your last meal was well balanced or not is, how long does that energy last for? So we want it to stretch at least 3 to 4 hours. So if you have breakfast and you notice you're hungry an hour, maybe a 2-hour window later, let's go back, let's revamp. Maybe it needs to have a little bit more volume or a little bit more nutrition. And when I say that, adding those more nutrient dense foods like fats can be a really easy way to just make sure that that energy lasts longer. And again, we're not experiencing any sort of dips or crashes in our energy. It is steady state.
Yeah, I love that. Do you have any examples of easy lunch and dinner incorporations to have it nice and balanced?
Yeah. I feel like people also have a difficulty, especially with now everyone's working from home. Like we get sick of eating the same things all the time, and it doesn't just have to be a salad. Sure, that's an option that we can have, but you can also have a sandwich. There's no harm in having a sandwich. And I love doing like a tuna salad or an egg salad or even a mashed chickpea salad if you're going more plant-based. Having those things prepped again ahead of time is a really easy way. Chicken salad too. Yeah. Super easy. You can do that with some crackers, some a slice of toast again, or if you didn't have eggs for breakfast, you could also do something egg-based, doing like avocado toast, right?
Yes.
Breakfast foods don't have to be just eaten at breakfast, and you can also eat dinner foods at breakfast time.
Yeah.
There's no rules.
Yes.
I have plenty of individuals that like to do like a ground meat breakfast with some sweet potato and sauteed greens.
Yeah.
And again, it just, we can change. It doesn't have to look a certain way.
Yeah. Listen, I've had sweet potato for breakfast.
Love it.
And I didn't think that I would like it, and I love it.
Yeah.
Like it's so, I don't know, it's fun. I remember my mom doing that, so I think I got it.
Yeah. I also find when we start our day with something a little bit more savory, it helps us not to crave as many sweets throughout the day too.
That's so good.
So it's interesting to kind of play around and just see what works well for your body. And if you are a menstruating person especially, I don't recommend fasting. Off the bat, it is a little bit of stress on our body, and when we're focusing on our hormones, hormone healing, and gut health, it's a non-negotiable for me. Like we're having breakfast, we're having it within an hour of waking, and it's going to be one of these well-balanced compositions that we're talking about.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so helpful though for that anxiety just in general though. Like our body needs fuel to function, and if we have low blood sugar or if we don't have enough nutrition, you might feel anxious, you might feel sweaty or shaky or unable to focus, have poor concentration. A reminder that like coffee is not breakfast. It is not a meal in and of itself. I don't care if you're adding coconut oil or making it a bullet coffee. It's still not a meal. We still need to have something else there.
Yeah, no, that's so true.
I think the other thing that I wanted to bring up is just like this gut mind connection too. And sometimes when we have any sort of imbalance or things going on in our gut, it is constantly sending signals to our brain and to our mind that things are not well. There is dis-ease, right? Like the word disease is broken down into dis-ease. And if your body is just constantly sending your brain those signals of things are not well, you're not gonna feel good. You might be more anxious. You might experience depression. You might have intrusive thoughts. So, the nutrition piece is so important, and really focusing on having those more balanced meals throughout the day is the easiest tip to make sure, all right, I'm doing what I can, what's in my power to support my body and what it needs right now. And we can check that box.
Yeah, I love that. That's really where I feel like I start when I'm starting to feel, if I'm starting to feel anxious or like stressed and I'm just kind of like, this is weird. I'm always like, okay, when did I last eat? What did I last eat? And trying to make that connection between, like you said, like the more nutrient dense meals. Honestly, I'm not someone that snacks much, and I feel like I snack even less now because I just feel like a bag of chips doesn't do anything. And if I'm gonna eat, like, I might as well eat something that's like a chia seed pudding or something. Like, that's one of my favorite snacks. Honestly,
I love hearing that. And again, if those meals, whenever you're having them, are more well balanced, you won't need to snack or graze as much in between meals. If you're eating lunch at noon and you're not eating dinner until 7, it makes complete sense for me to break up that afternoon and to have something at that time, right? But we're having like veggies and guac or veggies and hummus or some roasted chickpeas or a handful of trail mix or something, again, that's more well balanced.
So one of the things that I have been on a personal journey about that I hear a lot is, especially as someone that came off of fasting, which is what kind of sparked me reaching out to you, is feeling like I'm eating all the time. And especially when we first started working together, I was like messaging you and saying I'm eating every 3 hours and this feels just ridiculous to me. So what is your advice? What are kind of your tips? And what's your, I guess, your approach to not feeling like you're eating all the time?
Yeah. I mean, I do think it circles back to just making sure we are getting enough nutrition, and there's likely going to be this transition period. If your body was used to going 14, 16, however many hours in between your last meal and your first meal the next day, incorporating breakfast, that's going to kick your metabolism into gear. And that's why I have people do it when they're healing their hormones and we're working on gut health, is because when we have a source of input, it's literally signaling to our body. I love this analogy of a fire. If you build a fire and you throw all the logs on at once, that fire is not going to last very long. But if you put a couple of logs on right now, and then an hour later you toss another log on, throughout the day, you can make that fire last all day.
Wow.
So imagining like our metabolism as that internal fire that we're trying to fuel and make it burn all day, you might be hungrier. Your metabolism is like turning back on instead of being in this sleep mode. And, you know, there are populations where fasting is beneficial for, and again, non-menstruating people, it's easier for individuals that live in a male body because they don't have these hormones fluctuating day in and day out. So postmenopausal women, it might be beneficial for them. There's research showing benefits for insulin sensitivity and even helping with type 2 diabetes. And then the diet, you know, and fasting itself can be helpful for neurodegenerative diseases, etc. So I'm not negating, like, it is a very real thing, but just for this population that I work with and focus on specifically. I know that a big thing that pops up too, though, is a lot of like body image things and concerns. And, you know, I hear that often, oh, when I feel like I'm eating all the time, like, is this going to change my body? Am I going to gain weight because I'm eating more? Not necessarily. You might not, but your body's going to do what it needs to do. So if you have been living a little bit underweight for what your body feels comfortable and likes to sit at, naturally, it's determined by our weight set point theory, and we can talk more about that. But if your body is like, okay, we're finally getting consistent fuel again, I can like relax, I can exhale. I don't always have to be in this kind of starvation mode, wondering when the next meal is coming, and holding on to more nutrition, packaging more of that stored energy away, because it knows I'm gonna have another meal in a few hours. So huge change there.
And I think that connects back to the stress levels, right? Like,
absolutely.
It's just naturally, I think what I realized was creating extra stress on the body that just doesn't need to be there.
Absolutely. And that plays a role in hormones, that stress, anxiety, all the above. They feed into one another. I call it an upward spiral, when one good thing starts to happen and then the other things follow. Maybe you're getting more fuel throughout the day, and then you're sleeping better. And when you're sleeping better, you have more energy, and then maybe you don't have to lean on caffeine so much. You know, these good behaviors.
It's true. It's like a domino effect. I feel like I created a video last month about cycle syncing and talking about how I'm really trying to do my workouts surrounding surrounding my cycle and weightlifting more, and like ovulation, and even like the luteal phase building up to ovulation. And I feel like I was able to incorporate that because I'm taking care of the nutrition side. And it's kind of like when although sometimes we think, oh my gosh, we're eating too much, but if we can make a small mindset shift to, I'm listening to my body and I'm helping my body, I'm working with my body versus working against it or forcing it to go to the gym when you really need a rest, or forcing it not to eat when really you can eat a nice, healthy, well-balanced meal and it's going to make all the difference. Yeah.
And that skill takes time to establish. It's not like an overnight thing where if you've been ignoring your body and your body's cues for years, which again is something that it's a societal thing, like we're infused that practice, but babies, they cry when they're hungry, they cry when they poop, they cry when they need to go to sleep, and it's so intuitive. It takes time to get back to that nature where your body starts giving you these signs and signals of, I'm hungry, I need to eat. And instead of trying to ignore that, by honoring it, it's going to help you just trust your body and trust that inner wisdom so much more. But that's also going to be helpful for living at the healthy weight and the area that your body wants to exist at.
I love that. It's so true. Oh, that was so good. Thank you so much for your info. Thank you so much for your wisdom. Please share where people can find you if they want to follow up.
Absolutely. So my Instagram is nutritionwithnorah. So is my website. Most places you can find me on that handle. I also offer some group coaching programs that I love. The community aspect is my favorite thing in the world. And I also do some one-on-one care. So if you're looking for a provider, I'm definitely here for you to support you on your health journey.
And totally recommend following her on Instagram. She posts some of her food that she eats, and it's like literally it's like a food blog. But you would get some really great ideas if you're in the beginning stages of your journey and really not sure what to eat for each meal. Go ahead and give her a follow. You'll get some good ideas.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining. Oh my God.